Some SpongeBob episodes leave you questioning everything you watched. These two episodes broke so many rules that fans can't figure out what they actually mean. Random Land is the episode that left viewers scratching their heads, wondering if they accidentally switched to a fever dream instead of their favorite cartoon. This isn't just weird for the sake of being weird. There's something deeply unsettling lurking beneath the episode. The madness begins at the Krusty Krab, when a simple delivery request changes everything. Someone calls asking for a Krabby Patty to be delivered to Random Land, and Squidward immediately refuses. Why? Because apparently delivery workers who enter Random Land never return. This horrifying detail gets tossed out like a casual joke, but nobody seems to care that people are literally disappearing forever. Mr. Krabs predictably obsessed with money, since SpongeBob and Squidward anyway. But here's where things get bizarre. Nobody knows how to actually reach Random Land. The only instruction they receive is to walk around randomly. And somehow this actually works. SpongeBob starts dancing in a grass skirt and vanishes like he broke the physics engine. Squidward laughs, copies him, and disappears too. The moment they arrive, reality stops making sense. Their bodies warp and distort, their speech patterns change, and the very landscape seems to rewrite the rules of grammar around them. This isn't just a different place. It's operating on a completely different rulebook, where cause and effect have no meaning. Random Land is populated by creatures that defy all logic. Bag-headed clowns, toothy birds, and monsters that literally eject visitors from eggs roam freely. Even more disturbing, they encounter all the lost delivery workers still wandering around, unable to complete their jobs or escape. These aren't just background characters, they're trapped souls who have been absorbed by this dimension. The episode takes a particularly unsettling turn when they meet a gender-swapped version of Squidward, selling houses. Why does this dimension contain alternate versions of familiar characters? Is this Squidward's imagination or something far more sinister? When a flying creature steals their delivery bag, the chaos sequence becomes a gauntlet of identity horror. Doors appear out of nowhere, and every single one reveals a different, increasingly disturbing version of Squidward. From claymation puppets to static-eyed monsters, each door shows Squidward a corrupted reflection of himself. One design looks suspiciously like the infamous Red Mist version, a reference to dark fan-created content that Nickelodeon has never officially acknowledged. What makes this sequence particularly chilling is that SpongeBob never opens any doors. He's completely unaffected by Random Land's psychological warfare because he's not fighting it. He's embracing the chaos. Meanwhile, Squidward is being systematically broken down by confronting endless variations of his own failures and fears.
He's probably looking for us! Mr. Krabs!
The episode's climax arrives when they spot someone who looks exactly like Mr. Krabs, walking through the maze of doors. They chase him through layers of increasingly surreal landscapes, dinosaur-human hybrids, black and white voids, and reality loops that make no sense. When they finally catch up, the truth is revealed. It's not Mr. Krabs at all, but Roger, a Random Land citizen who ordered the Krabby Patty. But here's what nobody talks about. Roger looks identical to a younger Mr. Krabs. Same eyes, same jawline, everything. Is this just coincidence? Or is Roger actually a lost version of Mr. Krabs who got trapped in Random Land years ago? The episode ends with the bag-stealing creature popping their delivery bag like a balloon, causing the entire screen to go blank while a two-headed worm declares the end. What makes it truly confusing is the underlying suggestion that this dimension is powered by imagination and sustained by the psychological energy of its visitors. The more emotionally unstable someone becomes, the more the world mutates around them. This explains why delivery workers get permanently absorbed, and why Squidward sees endless versions of himself, while SpongeBob remains unaffected. And while Random Land traps visitors in a dimension of psychological horror, another episode takes this concept even further, by breaking the very fabric of time itself. SB-129 stands as SpongeBob's most bewildering episode, leaving viewers completely lost in a maze of time paradoxes and existential horror. When Squidward seeks peace from his annoying neighbors, he accidentally triggers a chain of events that breaks reality itself. Squidward! Squidward! The episode begins with typical SpongeBob chaos disrupting Squidward's morning clarinet practice. Desperate for silence, Squidward flees to the Krusty Krab and locks himself in the walk-in freezer. Somehow, this simple escape plan results in him being frozen solid for 2,000 years. The real mystery here is how nobody discovered his frozen body during those 2 millennia. His face was clearly visible through the freezer window.
2,000 years later.
When Squidward finally awakens in the year 4017, Bikini Bottom is transformed into a chrome-plated future, dominated by robotic descendants. He encounters Sponge, a mechanical version of SpongeBob with rocket legs who greets him as if his arrival was expected. Why would future SpongeBob know Squidward was coming? The answer suggests something far more complex than simple time travel. Desperate to return home, Squidward uses the time machine that apparently just exists in the hallway like household appliances. His first attempt overshoots completely, landing him in prehistoric Bikini Bottom where caveman versions of SpongeBob and Patrick live. Here, Squidward accidentally catches a jellyfish in frustration, and the cavemen immediately copy him, creating the sport of jellyfishing.
What, is it time for your flea bath now? Oh, look, it's just a little jellyfish.
This moment reveals a horrifying irony. Squidward invented jellyfishing, the very activity he despises in the present day. He learned it from the future, brought it to the past, and created a bootstrap paradox where the origin has no beginning. When prehistoric SpongeBob and Patrick turn hostile over his clarinet playing, Squidward panics and breaks the time machine lever. Instead of landing in another time period, he enters something far worse, a blank white void completely outside of normal reality. The void represents the most disturbing sequence in SpongeBob history. There's no water, no sound, except Squidward's echoing voice and floating fragments of broken memories. The isolation initially thrills Squidward, but his voice soon begins glitching and doubling as his sanity deteriorates. The void operates as a kind of limbo for broken timelines and shattered identities. When Squidward finally screams for the machine to take him home, it responds without needing a lever or any mechanical input, as if the entire experience was designed to reset him once he reached his breaking point. Upon returning to the present, Squidward faces the final twist. When SpongeBob and Patrick invite him to go jellyfishing, they casually ask who invented the game anyway. SpongeBob immediately answers, "You did, Squidward." How do they know this? Did prehistoric memories somehow carry forward through generations?
Get me out of here!
The episode creates an impossible situation. There should now be 2 Squidwards existing simultaneously, one who experienced the time loop nightmare and one still frozen in the Krusty Krab freezer. The timeline suggests they deliberately leave the frozen Squidward untouched to preserve the paradox he accidentally created. The scientific elements make this even stranger. Sea sponges can live thousands of years through continuous regeneration, and SpongeBob is mentioned reproducing by budding. Patrick, as a starfish, can grow entire body parts. This means the future characters aren't descendants, they're the same SpongeBob and Patrick who have been regenerating for millennia, possibly carrying the same consciousness through each iteration. Sponge's calm reaction to Squidward's awakening suggests he's experienced this encounter before, possibly countless times across multiple time loops. The precision with which Patrick appears at exactly the right moments indicates they both know this sequence by heart.
Loser.
The white void sequence holds the key to understanding everything. When the time machine collapsed, Squidward likely died. No organism could survive being compressed and exploded in white energy. What we see in the void is his consciousness or soul, trapped in a purgatory between timelines. The floating fragments in the void represent pieces of broken realities and abandoned story threads. Squidward's isolation reveals his deepest fear. that without the things he claims to hate, nothing remains of his identity. When he finally accepts this truth and calls for help, the machine responds like a cosmic force designed to reset reality when someone breaks it. SB-129 reveals Squidward as the unwitting architect of his own misery. He created the future he tried to escape from, invented the pastime that torments him, and established a temporal loop that traps him with his neighbors across all timelines. One version remains frozen as an anchor point, while another carries the terrible knowledge that escape is impossible. These episodes prove that Spongebob wasn't afraid to completely mess with viewers' minds. Sometimes the most confusing stories are the ones that stick with you forever. So let me know if you agree and want more mysteries to be solved.